In this peculiar question, we're being told that A and C are positive constants. That makes all the difference in the world because it means that this piece right here is actually positive, this is actually negative, and so on. Now, let's take a second to think about what these two formats look like. The first one is a variation of ax squared plus bx plus c. And in the anatomy of a quadratic, we need to know that this is our y-intercept. And this number right here would give you the opening direction and also your vertical stretch. It's a little more advanced to know that this number right here is responsible for your lateral movement. In other words, something with no x term is always going to be centered on the y-axis. In any case, we know that the opening direction for ours is going to be up. It's going to be an upward opening parabola that's going to look like a U, not like a mountain. And that's because the number responsible for the opening direction is positive. And we also know that the y-intercept, because that doesn't have a c, so that's this spot right here. In the equation they gave us, there's no b term. There's nothing that has an x. But the y-intercept is some negative number. So what do we know right now? We know that we have a parabola with a negative y-intercept. It's centered on the y-axis because there's no sideways lateral movement. And it opens upward because the coefficient to the x squared, the a, is a positive number. Now let's turn our attention to what we know about this linear equation here. We know it's linear because it has nothing squared to it, and it's basically in the format of y equals a number. Now, if y equals a number at all times, that's always going to give you a horizontal line. Let's just imagine for a second that y equaled 5. Then the points that we would have on this line right here are 0, 5, 1, 5, 2, 5, 3, 5. In other words, y is always the same number. In my example, it's 5. So if y equals the same number, you're always going to get a horizontal number. And if x, you're always going to get a horizontal line. And if x equals some number, you're always going to get a vertical line. So we know that we've got an upward opening parabola intersecting a horizontal line. Now, how do we know that this line wasn't below to the point where it would never intersect? Because a and c are both said to be positive. So we knew that the parabola started below the x-axis and opened upward. And we know that this horizontal line is somewhere in the northern hemisphere, somewhere north of the x-axis. So how many times does the parabola intersect the line? Well, you can see from this picture that it's intersecting 2 times, which is C for this question.